Are you looking for credit unions besides Navy Federal? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you from part 1 and part 2, the top 10 credit unions that you can start building a relationship besides Navy Federal. Now, I know not everyone is able to join Navy Federal, but if you are, join it. But you can still start building relationships with other banks or credit unions. And in today's video, we're going to be covering the top 10 credit unions. Make sure to watch the entire video. Part 1, we are covering 5 credit unions, and part 2, we're going to be covering 5 credit unions. So make sure to watch the entire video for all of these credit unions, because throughout this video, I am going to be dropping some tips, some tricks, and different hacks that you must know about, because let me tell you guys, information is the new gold. If you don't know better, you can't do better. So if you knew better, you do better. Let's get started. Here are my top 10 banks for you to go and open up a bank account with. Now, some people will open up a personal account. Some people will open up a business account. Most of these banks have both personal and commercial credit cards and lines of credit, so on and so forth. So these are the top credit unions. Some of them are geo-restricted. And what that means is you have to be in a certain area in order to qualify to open up a bank account. Now, later on in this video, I'm going to be going over some hacks on how you guys can get around that, and something else that you want to do prior to opening up your business bank accounts, okay? This you do not want to miss. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 is going to be PenFed. Now, you guys may have heard me talk about PenFed in the past, but I really like PenFed, and one of the reasons why is because not only do I personally have an account with them, and they were one of the first banks that gave me another credit card when I was rebuilding my credit. In fact, at that time, PenFed actually gave me the highest limit that I had while I was rebuilding my credit. Now, there were some things that I would have done differently looking back, and had I been educated and actually watched some videos to plan accordingly. But when I was rebuilding, I was so quick to just pull the trigger and just go and apply and just, get these credit cards. But if I would have, educated myself, I would have done it totally different. And that's why I'm here to tell you guys, don't just go into this thing blindly. Get help, watch, become educated. If you need a coach like myself, you can sign up for one-on-one coaching, because what I did was I kind of shot myself in the foot. I opened up too many credit cards too quickly. And a lot of those credit cards were like secured, not that great, kind of lower limits. So what I was actually doing is costing myself more money. But, back then I thought, well, the more credit I could get, the better. No, we only want top tier quality credit cards and banks listed on our credit report. And these are the banks that are top tier. Navy Federal, that's a grade A bank right there. Some of the other grade A banks, you see them on your average, streets when you're traveling: Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Those are some of the top tier banks as well. But these are some of the banks that you might not necessarily see on every street corner, because maybe they're not even in our area. But maybe you can open up an account right over the phone, right online. So PenFed is one of those places that I just called, and I opened up a bank account right over the telephone. I made a $5 donation to the charity of choice. And what I did, which I regret now, was soon as I opened up my account, my personal checking account, you want to open up a personal checking account and a personal savings account, okay? Now, as soon as I opened that up, they asked me, do you want to apply for a credit card? Me, back then, yeah, heck yeah, I do, right? That's most people's reaction. Yes, I do. But no, we don't right now, okay? You want to keep this same mentality with all of your relationships, okay? All of these banks are relationships. It doesn't matter if it's Navy Federal. It doesn't matter if it's PenFed. We want to build a relationship with these banks first, okay? Don't just try to go and ask them for a credit card off the rip. You know, that's not the way to go about it. Yes, they probably will give you one, right? That's not the point. The point is, why not build a better relationship with them? Make sure that our credit profile is in tip-top condition. So when we do go and apply for their credit cards, we can get higher limits. We can get better approvals. Okay. Yeah, I got a credit card approved right away with them, but it was only for $1,500, right? Now, looking back at that, I couldn't even buy my laptop with $1,500. And that's exactly what I used that credit card for when I was starting my business. I bought this Apple laptop that I'm using to record this information to you guys on. I bought that. I maxed out that $1,500 PenFed credit card, and I used it to buy something that has, you know, literally paid for itself over and over and over. So these are some of the things that you want to leverage your credit cards for. Now, I definitely maxed it out, which is not a good thing, but I paid it in a couple months. It was about 3 months it took me to pay it off. And, you know, I really haven't used it since. And I really wish I would have waited so I could have gotten a higher limit credit card, because I have some clients that I've worked with in the past. And PenFed is, again, one of those credit unions that you can do the pledge loan hack with. And if you guys don't know what the pledge loan hack is, I have an entire video on it, and I've covered it in my masterclass, the Navy Federal Masterclass. So if you haven't watched the Navy Federal Masterclass Part 1 and Part 2, definitely make sure that you head over to the description in this video and watch those videos, because those are jam-packed with information. And honestly, I don't know how long I'm going to leave them up. If I don't start getting more likes, comments, and subscribers, I'm going to just go ahead and take it down and just make it available for people in my course. I really don't want to, but that's why it's so important for you guys to go and watch it and run up the watch time, like, comment, share, subscribe. That's all I ask you guys, okay? Now, if you do need one-on-one coaching, of course, you can sign up for that. Links are in the description below. We have our credit course and our business credit course as well. So you can opt in for those. But this information I'm literally giving to you guys to take action. I don't want you to sit through and watch all my videos and not do anything, but just know the information. That's not going to do you any good. It's not going to make me feel good about it, okay? So with PenFed, call them up right over the phone. Hey, I want to make a $5 donation. I want to become a member with you guys. Open up the checking, open up the savings, okay? Make some deposits in the account, okay? Build that relationship with them. Rule of thumb, 90 days, okay? After you've been with them for 30 days, you want to do the pledge loan hack, which is their secured loan, okay? And I actually have a free ebook below that you can get, and I talk about this in the ebook. But, you know, of course, you guys are going to have to read it and actually go through the information. But you want to do the pledge loan. And the pledge loan is basically where you take your own money that's in your savings account and you pledge it to the bank, and they take a loan out against it. And you're basically, it's like a secured credit card, but it's a secured loan. Except for you, at most of these places will have access to your money. When you have a secured credit card, of course, it's a little bit different, and you don't want to use the money because it will max out your credit, which, you know, in return, it's going to make your credit score tank. But in these cases, when it is a secured loan, generally you have it in your savings account. They will transfer it to your checking account, and take a loan out against it, and then you take that money and pay back your loan. Set it up on auto pay, let it roll. I know a lot of people talk about paying it 90% of it off right away, so you don't have to pay interest on it, but listen to the concept here, okay? And if you haven't watched the Credit Concept podcast, make sure to watch the Credit Concept podcast. We are done recording our first season, and I'm not going to come out with a season 2 until I get more subscribers, views, comments on the Credit Concept podcast. So I need you guys to run that up and watch and comment, because there's a lot more information that I want to give out there, but I need some motivation from you guys to do it, okay? But back to PenFed and the pledge loan, you can literally set it up on auto pay so it pays itself back. Why pay off 90%? Right now you're building a relationship with the bank. Sometimes you got to spend a little money to get a little money. Okay. You got to give a little to get a lot, right? And we're building the relationship with the bank right now. So why not let them get the little interest off of you? Okay. No big deal. Okay. Don't pay it off early unless you actually need the money, because that's completely avoiding or, completely going off of our plan of action here. That's completely pointless. It's counterproductive. That's not the point that we're trying to, show the banks. In the pledge loan process, what we are doing is showing the banks and showing creditors who are looking at that account, we can pay on time. Okay. We need to get those on time payments and let the bank get a little bit of interest off you. It's no big deal. If you want to pay a little bit of it off earlier, fine, no problem. But don't pay 90% of it off and then, do all that. Just set it up on auto pay for those monthly payments and let it roll. Okay. If you don't want to do it for a long period of time, you don't have to. But what I would recommend is that you set it up for 6 months, 12 months, maybe 2 years, whatever you need to do, right? If you have a thin profile, the longer the better, right? Because you want to build up that payment history, and whatever you can invest towards the pledge loan, towards the secured loan, because again, you're using your own money to build, do it. Whether that's $1,000, whether that's like, $1,500. My first pledge loan was $3,500, and that helps me get approved for a $25,000 credit card. Okay. Now with PenFed, you'll notice that they have a lot of benefits to them. They are still one of my top 5 banks, definitely. So if you haven't joined PenFed, you definitely want to join. I wouldn't necessarily recommend PenFed for the business side because they are more or less geared towards consumer, towards the personal credit. You can get auto loans from them. I always get emails about their auto programs. You can buy a home with them. You can get different VA loans. So if you're a veteran, you can buy your first home, and they have some really good first-time home buyer programs. They got the home equity line of credit. They have a lot of different, look at here, personal loans, student loan refinancing. So, and their auto loans, they're pretty good. I've had a few clients get auto loans with them. And right now the interest is a little high on the auto loans. So, they're about market, which is about 5-6% on the interest. But the reason why I like them is because they have the gap insurance. And I talked about gap insurance before, and I'll kind of go over a little bit with you guys before right now. You always want to get gap insurance. It is going to be additional. Sometimes it's like $500. Just add it to your loan. But in case your insurance, your normal insurance that you pay on a monthly basis, does not cover the full vehicle, I guess you can say the amount that you owe, right? So if something, God forbid, something happens to your vehicle, it gets into an accident, something happens, but your insurance company doesn't pay for the full value of what you owe on the car, then gap insurance is going to cover that gap. So say, for example, you have a $20,000 auto loan, but your insurance company only gives you $15,000 because that's what they valued the car at. And, unfortunately, sometimes we owe more than the car is worth, right? Well, in these cases, gap insurance is actually going to pay that $5,000 difference that you would have been responsible for paying. And I've had a lot of people that I've worked with in the past that did not even know what gap insurance was. And I tell them, always get gap insurance. Don't get anything else from the dealership. Don't get an extended warranty. Don't get none of that BS. If you're considering buying an extended warranty, just save the money that they would charge you on a monthly basis in a savings account. So if something does happen, you can use the money that you saved to fix whatever the problem is. But the chances of a new vehicle having issues that the extended warranty is actually going to cover and be worth it for you is very slim. That's just a way for them to make money. In fact, Auto dealers make a lot of money from selling those extended warranty packages, and they will get an attitude with you if you don't buy it because that cuts into their commission. Okay. Don't fall for the BS. Okay. Don't fall for the malarkey, as I like to call it. But definitely get gap insurance with any vehicle that you plan to finance. If you don't have gap insurance currently, sometimes your insurance company will offer it as an additional service. Some of them are included, but I would definitely look into that. So enough about me rambling on. I tend to go off topic, but I like to give you guys as much value as I possibly can based on my experience. Like I always tell people, I'm not a lawyer. I don't give legal advice. I give you facts and information based on real life experience, which is not taught in school. So don't feel bad if you don't know this information, because guess what? None of us were taught this information. That's why we're here on YouTube University looking up real life skills. Okay. So let's move on to our next credit union, which I really like as well. This is Space Coast Credit Union. Now, keep in mind, like I said, may have mentioned before, some of these credit unions are going to be geo-restricted, which means they are geographically only available to their local people or people where they have, branches and whatnot. So you definitely want to see if you would be eligible for this bank. And if you are in an eligible location, I would definitely sign up. They are in the Florida area. I am not able to sign up. Now, one way I talked about telling you guys a hack to get around this, and one thing that you can do is you can actually start a foreign business. So say, for example, I'm in California. I can start an LLC or corporation in Florida, get me a virtual business location. I'm a business in Florida. Now, I would be responsible for Florida taxes because I'm a Florida business, but now guess what? I, as a Florida business, can now apply for these banks that I want to get into. That's a great way for you guys to get around and hack the system, because there's so many banks out there that are absolutely wonderful, but aren't necessarily available to those like me who are located in the big old state of California. Probably the most expensive state besides New York. And, I know some of you guys in other states are coming up on us, but boy, it is tough out here in California. Okay. So my heart goes out to a lot of people who are in California who are just looking to better their lives, create additional streams of income, and build wealth. You are doing the right thing. It doesn't matter if you're in California or any other state. I commend you, because I, my friend, was there right along with you. I was working a 9 to 5 where I lived in the Bay Area. I commuted an hour and a half to work each way. And Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, okay, I would sit in rush hour commute, which in the Bay Area is absolutely horrible, okay? It took me, again, an hour and a half to 2 hours each way. So every day I spent about 4 hours in my vehicle driving and commuting to work in traffic. I still have PSD from it. Post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever they call it. I'm still stressed out over it, okay? It was so horrible. And that's what pushed me to do this and to teach you guys and to learn this information, because I literally spent a couple years just literally going all in and listening in my headphones while I was at my desk, watching people on YouTube. I mean, a lot of those people that I was watching, they're no longer on YouTube. Mike from the Credit Game, he was taken down. He was a fraud. I already knew that, he was a scam. But there are some really great people out there as well, like Credit Plug. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from, the Credit Repair Cloud community. So if you are interested in learning more about Credit Repair Cloud, I have a whole playlist and training on that. I learned a lot from there. But, while I was on my learning journey, which, I still learn, it just at a higher level, it's going to cost me more because I don't want the information that's on YouTube, right? We got to pay to play sometimes. But, I watched a lot of great people for free because back then I didn't have a lot of money to invest, I had, at that time I was pregnant. I had just had a baby during, the time that I was really learning. So it was very stressful, but I stuck to my guns. I used every bit of my time to multitask while I was at my desk, headphones in, listening to educational resources so I could better myself and I can get the hell out of that 9 to 5 and fire my boss. And when I was driving, same thing. Instead of listening to music, I was listening to Audible books. I was listening to podcasts. I was listening to YouTube videos, and just learning and soaking up all this information. So I suggest that you guys do the same. If you have a driving job, listen, dedicate 2 to 3 hours a day to just listening to this information to better yourself. So one day you can fire your boss, because credit is the way that I did that. I literally leveraged credit cards and lines of credit and funding to be able to invest in my business and fire my boss. So that's what I did. It took me about a year when I got real serious about it. And mind you, I had a brand new baby October, well, it was Halloween of 2019. So I had a baby and I was a brand new first time mom and starting a business. So if I can do it, you can totally do it. You cannot give me any excuses. Everyone is busy. Everyone has a life, but it is $0 to learn from YouTube. It is $0 for you to, take this information and apply it. Okay. So I'm going to go off my rant about that, but that's a little background about me. So Space Coast is great. It's got small business, it's got personal, they've got credit cards, they've got a lot of great things. So definitely check them out. I'm not going to spend too much time on each of these because I really want to get all of these, kind of dialed in with you guys and make sure that, of course, you guys are taking action. If you have any questions, leave your questions and comments in the descriptions or in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get to them. I always try to get back to each of you guys. And, I thank you so much for spending the time with me today, because you can be anywhere out there, but you chose to spend it with me. So I thank you for that. I'm not the best YouTuber out there, but I just try to provide you guys with value and knowledge, because when I was learning, it was so hard for me. I just could not find the right person that knew, what they were talking about. I just couldn't find the right person where I can learn everything from personal credit and business credit. So I learned from a ton of different people. I've purchased so many people's courses and classes, and it was all valuable, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to be able to learn from someone who's already done that. So now I can give you all of the information that I've learned, and I've put a lot into my business credit course and my personal credit course. The personal credit course is more or less credit repair and how to start a credit repair business, but it's also going to teach you how to repair your credit. But building credit, you can do this at the same time and get your credit repair journey done much faster, because you can literally start opening up bank accounts, start building positive credit, because at the end of the day, what credit is all about is showing your trend to pay on time, right? And also just showing that you are responsible. You can pay on time. You're not going to max out your credit cards. In fact, you want to keep your credit cards probably like below a 10% limit or 10% balance of the available limit. So for easy math, if your credit limit is $1,000, you want to keep your balance reported to the credit bureaus under $100. Okay, so it's based on the credit limit. So that's why it's always nice to get these high limit credit cards, because you don't have to be worried about spending a couple $100s, right? You can spend the money and, if you needed to let it revolve to the next month, you could. But when your credit limit is so low, you're very restricted. So, if you got a $20,000 credit card, you can, easily get away with spending $2,000 on your credit card, easy, right? And still be able to reap the benefits of getting points and all that good stuff. So bottom line is, just be smart with your credit cards. Make sure that you have paid your balance below a 10% of the credit limit below 10% of the credit limit prior to the statement date. That is not your due date, is a different date. So there's two different dates that we need to be concerned with. Our due date, that's the billing due date for all of our credit cards, right? And if you pay late, they will give you 30 days to pay, right? So your due date, say your due date is June 1st, right? If as long as you pay your credit card before 30 days after that, you're not going to get a late payment. Do I recommend doing that? Absolutely not, right? But you do have, a couple days. So if you're like a few days late after the due date, you're not going to get a 30-day late payment reported to your credit. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you pay your credit cards on time. Set them up on auto pay for the minimum amount due, and you can always pay more throughout the month if need be. But at least you're paying that minimum payment. And most of the time it's a little bit of nothing. It's like 30, 50 bucks. And if you can't afford that, we need to be talking about some budget cuts, because you need to cancel your DoorDash app, your Uber Eats app, and all of that BS that you're spending on nothing, okay? Stop being lazy, go to the grocery store, meal plan, and stop spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on expensive DoorDash that most of the time isn't even good, right? But anyways, back to this. Statement date, make sure you document that date. Put it in your calendar. Okay, put it in your calendar. It is the last day of your billing cycle. If you look on your credit card statement, last day of the billing cycle, okay? You can call your credit card company and ask them what it is as well, but it is different than your due date. And some people, especially, agents from another country, they don't always know this information. So that's why, information is power. So find your closing date, which is also known as your statement date, last day of your billing cycle. Make sure your balance is paid 3 to 5 days prior to your billing statement date. So that way, come your billing statement date, your accounts have updated, your payment has posted, everything has reflected and updated. And make sure you count weekends, because weekends don't count. So if you got a weekend coming up, you need to plan, maybe additional days, right? But once that is updated, as of your statement date, your account balance should reflect 0. So what happens is the credit card company is going to report a 0 balance to the credit cards, to the credit bureaus. So that's why it's so important for you to kind of know these things, because, early on in life, I never had a 700 credit score because my credit card utilization was all haywire, right? And that's the reason why a lot of people these days don't have a high enough credit score, is because their credit utilization is too high. If you go online and you search, they say 30%. That is way too high, especially when we're building that relationship. We need to build and season our accounts before we can even think about letting our credit card utilization go up to 30%. For now, it needs to stay under 10, okay? And we'll just leave it at that. Launch credit union. Put your credit utilization under your business, okay? Launch credit union. Now, this is another one that does the pledge loan hack as well. So you can do a secured loan with them. Most of these credit unions have really good home buying programs as well. So I know a lot of people, if they've gotten approved for Navy Federal home loans and auto loans, these banks, they're just as good. Okay. Now, Navy Federal is going to give out higher limits as far as the credit cards go, but these banks, they're smaller banks. A lot of us have never heard of them, but in my opinion, they're very comparable to Navy Federal Credit Union. So Launch Credit Union, you can see here, you can get a fixed 10-year mortgage, about 6.2 APR. Line of credit, 8.25. That's not too bad. Fixed auto, 5.75. That's actually pretty good right now, because auto loans are kind of high right now. And then you can get their Platinum Visa for as low as 8.9. And look here, we match with first-time home buyer savings programs. That's awesome, because if you are a first-time home buyer, you definitely want to explore your options directly with the credit unions, because look here, they have no down payment mortgage options. Now, of course, you'd have to qualify, and we're not going to get into all of that today because that would just make this video super long. We still have a bunch more banks to go over, but these are just some of the reasons why I say check this information out for yourself, because they have a lot of things that we are looking for. Credit cards, business loans. So look here, loans, lines of credit, credit cards, personal, business. So here are some of the credit cards that they have. You can apply right online. Now, when it comes to, banking relationships, I will always recommend to you that you come out of the metaverse and that you go to the bank and you build a relationship with a banking manager. Okay. You want to build those banking relationships, especially if you are a small business owner, because you can get a good relationship, a good rapport with the banker. So you have an idea of kind of what they're looking for, and they can help you as far as like, well, should I put this, or does underwriting want to see this? Build that relationship, because at the end of the day, that banker, he wants to get you approved as much as you need to get approved. But there's certain things that their underwriting department might be looking for that personal or business bankers would know more about, and that's why it's so important to build those relationships, especially with those that have been there for a long time. I really like the business banking relationships because they know what is going to get people approved. This is what they do. They sit inside the bank, they write up the contracts for people, they see what type of approvals are coming out, and they have more insight. Now, of course, they're not going to commit bank fraud and tell you something, that you shouldn't know, but they're going to help you more than you would be just going into this blind. Okay. So here are some of the Platinum Visa, Rewards, Platinum Visa, both great cards. I would say no annual fee. So I really like that. You definitely want to pay attention to the annual fee because some of these credit cards can get very expensive. So that's Launch Credit Union. And you can see here they have a lot of different options available. And of course, with most of these credit unions, you have to become a member with them. So you definitely can call right over the phone, or you could go into a branch and just start with your personal checking account and savings account. If you want to go straight to the business side, you most certainly can. You can open up your business account with them and a personal account with them. So I always recommend, if you are a business, personal and business account with them, right? Because you want to build a relationship on both sides. Now, if you have issues opening up bank accounts with credit unions or anybody else, the reason behind that is because you have issues with check systems or early warning. So if you have issues with check systems or early warning, you need to request a copy of your report. It's a credit report. Okay. You go right to check systems, 𝑐systems.com, and you can request a report. So we'll go there real fast just so you can see on my screen. So this is check systems right here. You can literally just Google it. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to the consumer disclosure, and you want to request a report right here. So you want to go ahead and just request your report and see what's on there. Because some people, all that's holding them back is like a $200 old bank account that they never paid the fees for or whatever. So get this report and see what is going on, because that can be the reason why you are being held back. You don't want to allow something so small, so minute to hold you back. And I get it. Sometimes in the past, we've made mistakes. We weren't the most educated. We were young and dumb, and it happens. Things happen. I've been there myself. I've had to pay off some old debts to banks to open up accounts. But guess what? That's part of growing up, and that's part of the repair, and that's part of us, being responsible and saying, okay, that was me. I get it. I want to just make things right. I was going through, a hardship or whatever the case may be, right? So that's check systems. That's one report that a bank may use. Most banks are going to use check systems. Some banks use early warning. Navy Federal, they are an early warning bank. So if you have issues with early warning or you are getting denied for a bank account, you want to request your banking history. Same thing with them. You cannot request it online. So it does need to be done by mail or by email. And you can actually fill out the form that they have online. Oops, I don't want to do that. But you can just go right to early warning and you can download the form to fill out to request your report from them, because you definitely, if you're not able to open up bank accounts, you're definitely shooting yourself in the foot. Yes, there are credit cards and, credit things that you can get without a bank account. Absolutely. But you're going to be limited because some of these great banks, like the ones that we're going over today, you have to have an account with them. Now, Capital One, or Crapital One, as we might want to call it, you don't need to have an account with them. But are they that great? Absolutely not. They're a starter card. They're generally fairly lower limits, and it's not, there's no real benefit to them, right? So that's why you want to go with some of these other credit union banks so you can really build a relationship with them, and you can get multiple credit products with them, right? So this is early warning. Just head to their website and you can request their report. Now on here, it says you can do it by mail. Here's their address, or it looks like they have the portal now. Oh, okay. So you can do the portal now. Last time I requested something with a client from early warning was about 3 weeks ago, and he actually had to fill out a form and we had to mail it into them. So sometimes you can do that if the form is still available, but as you know, they're always changing things. So today is June 19th of 2023. And we are recording this video. So as of today, it looks like you can go to their portal and just go ahead and log in, and they'll tell you what it is that you need to do in order to request your report from them. And you can just let them know that you've recently been denied for a bank account and you are entitled to a free copy of your report. Now, if you need help with check systems or early warning, you can always book a coaching call and we can go over it once you have received your report. So there's no need to book a call until you have that report in hand, and then we can go over it and get an action plan together of what you need to do to correct everything, because sometimes it's just a matter of contacting the bank, rectifying, settling it. I've helped a lot of my clients do negotiations where we have come up with debt settlement plans. And I've even heard of some people saying, oh, well, I signed up for a debt management company. Oh my God, poor thing, you. But no, I've had a lot of clients come to me that just needed debt management. And sometimes, you do need to get some sort of loan to, I would say consolidate everything. But some of these debt management places are just a racket. So, but we're not going to get into too much of that. So we went over PenFed, we went over Space Coast Credit Union, we went over Launch Credit Union. Number 4 is Air Force Credit Union. So Air Force Credit Union is actually a really awesome bank. Reason being is because, like most of these other banks, they have, checking, savings. They also have a lot of stuff for the youth. So if you have, say, a child, you can start a savings account for them. You can start an account for them. They have the money market accounts. They also do the pledge loan hack where you can use it to, basically build your relationship with the bank and get higher limits. And again, that same, I guess you can say, concept would be applicable to all of these banks. You open up a bank account in about 30 days after you've made some deposits and, let the accounts marinate. And again, you want to try to open up your accounts with the biggest deposit amount possible. Okay. All that you have, literally throw it at the bank so you can get that initial bank scoring. And then you can move that money around, and you can actually use the same money to build pledge loans with all these different banks. I only recommend opening a maximum of 3 banks at a time, because you don't want to, trigger your check systems report. Even 3 sometimes might be pushing it, but I use the format of, hey, but use this concept because it's build, where we're going to open up 3 bank accounts. And we're going to take a break and we're going to build. Okay. It's a process. Build, take a break, build. So with this, you open up 3 bank accounts, you let them sit for 30 days, you take a break, and then we're going to start building. You're going to open up a pledge loan to start with, that secured loan. Even if you have a good credit score, it's not always about the credit score. It's about the relationship, and it's about your credit profile, the data points on your credit profile. Someone can have an 800 credit score, but still get declined for things because they don't have comparable credit on their credit report. So that way we want to, and that's the reason why we want to build these credit loans with these banks, so we can build that relationship and show them, hey, I'm credible. I pay my bills on time. You can trust me. I just gave you, $3,500 or $5,000 or $100,000 of my money. And, now I'm asking for a credit card. So now I need help. So that's what a relationship is about. It's a two-way street, right? You want to, absolutely do the, grooming of the relationship in the beginning and set those limits kind of high, right? Because we don't want $500 credit cards. We want higher limits. So again, comparable credit. You have to have comparable credit on your credit profile, whether that is, authorized user trade lines or primary trade lines. You need to have something that shows that you can be trusted with that amount. Now, if you do need trade lines, we have trade lines. I've left a link below. You can also book a call with me if you'd like to purchase authorized user trade lines. I don't recommend purchasing trade lines if you have derogatory items that need to be addressed first. Trade lines are kind of like that cherry on the top, right? They're that last finishing touch that you want to add to your credit profile before you go for a funding sequence. And this is, authorized user trade lines are really only recommended for the personal side to get you going, because on the business side, there are different, qualifications that the banks look for. And one of the things that they look for are credit cards that are actually in your name, that you're responsible for, that have at least a 2-year history. So sometimes longer, but generally it's about 2 years. So back to Air Force. One of the reasons why I like them is because they have vehicle loans, personal loans, and home loans. Now, not very, business friendly for this bank. This is primarily going to be your personal accounts. So they have, all of these different options that you can go after. They have their Visa Platinum credit cards. Again, their certificate secured loans. That's the pledge loan. Different banks might call it different names or whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's a secured loan. Okay. And you can get a secured loan to build that relationship with them. And you don't need to keep it for any long-term period of time. But if you want to buy some toys, say, I want to buy a motorcycle, I want to buy an ATV, I want to buy a boat, a jet ski, a watercraft, right? A RV, a fifth wheel, whatever it is, maybe you should consider doing a secured loan beforehand to butter them up and then ask them out on a date. Okay. Because if you just go in there with like a stranger, chances are it's not going to be a very good approval, right? So that's why you open it up with a good amount of money. You can transfer that money within 30 to 60 days. I recommend waiting 90. Again, that 90-day rule, you want to just let it marinate for a little bit. There's nothing fast about credit, okay? Slow down and do it strategically, so that way you can maximize the amount of funding that you're getting and also the approval rates. So you want to get a really good interest rate so you're not, basically shooting yourself in the foot, right? So that's that. And the next credit union that we're going to be going over is 𝓔𝓚. Now, 𝓔𝓚 is awesome. Again, they have the certificate loans as well, which are, the pledge loan hacks. Most of these credit unions that we're going over, if not all of them, I believe, have the pledge loan hack that we can actually tap into before we go and apply for some of their credit products. So 𝓔𝓚, they are geo-restricted, so they have certain branches and areas. A lot of them are in California, Southern California. But again, if you don't have a location in that area, you can always open up what we would consider to be a foreign entity to bypass that. Now, this bank is great for business as well because they have business lending, commercial lending, credit cards. And honestly, the easiest way to get funding on your business side are from business credit cards. A lot of places that you might go to, like Fundbox or some of these like places that Lending Tree and all these places, they're just a third party that go and apply for you. And you are losing a lot of money by doing that. If you would just take the time and educate yourself, you could do all of that yourself and save yourself a heck of a lot of money. Not to mention the success fee that some of these predatory lending companies charge you in order to do an application for you. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I highly recommend that you start building relationships with the banks and start doing this yourself. Start grooming these relationships to get the funding that you're going to need. Now, again, we want to wait some time. So it's going to take, at least 3 months. I would recommend waiting before you actually ask them to apply for something, like asking them on a date. Like that's the same thing with a relationship. Like get to know the bank, build that relationship with them, butter them up, make them feel good about you being a member, right? And then ask them out on a date. So they actually want you to talk to a business specialist to open up a credit card with them. So that's why I always recommend building that banking relationship with the bank managers or the business bank managers that are actually inside of the branch, because they're the ones that are going to give you great information and guidance. You can always read between the lines sometimes with them as well. And, their body language says a lot. Sometimes, they can say a lot without saying anything, right? So that's why it's good to kind of get their insight on, hey, do you think I would be a good candidate based on my business setup, my business foundation, how old my business is, what my credit score is, so on and so forth. Because, a lot of these banks, even on the commercial side, they are going to require your personal credit to personally guarantee it. But I don't know if all of these banks are going to be pulling your commercial credit reports or not, right? Every bank is a bit different, and banks right now are really starting to tighten up their grips on who they lend to. And a lot of banks on the commercial side are starting to pull from the business credit companies. Now, you will never see a bank pull Dun & Bradstreet, right? That's one of the biggest myths that I can bust for you right now. Your Dun & Bradstreet is meant for vendor accounts and, maybe some sort of utility and things like that, property managers, but it's mainly for vendor suppliers and possibly some utility companies. Credit cards, they are going to always require your personal credit unless you make over $2 million in revenue on your business and your business can stand on its own 2 feet and you can provide documents for that. Right now, for us small business owners that don't make $2 million a year and don't really want to provide documents or a whole lot of documents, we have to go the small business route where we get the business credit cards, which are mostly no documents required, right? That's the easiest way to get business funding are the business credit cards. When it comes to equipment financing and even, other types of loans and lines of credit, sometimes there might be small amount of documents required. Some of these banks are always changing the way that they do things because they have to feel like they're one step ahead of us, right? As soon as someone drops a YouTube video on how they got approved, they're changing things up. So That's why you always want to do your due diligence. What information may have been relevant a year ago or even today may not be relevant tomorrow, right? And that's the thing. We have to keep up with the changes. So just do your due diligence, build those relationships with the banks so that way you can get the inside info from the source, right? I'm just the messenger. I'm just the one here telling you guys, hey, these are some great paths that you guys can go down, right? Especially if you live in Southern California. They have, credit cards, they have business credit cards, they even have secured credit cards. So if you're rebuilding your personal credit, I recommend getting secured credit cards with some of these credit unions if you can, because they will graduate. So eventually you'll get your deposit back, right? But check New Vision out. Very highly recommended. And the next one is one of my personal favorite. It's Patelco Credit Union. This credit union is really popular in California. And honestly, it's really great for people that, even if you're not in California, if you can get into Patelco, I highly recommend it because they are just an amazing bank. They have really good customer service. I've had no issues with them whatsoever. Mainly going to be for the personal side. So they have the checking and the savings account. They've got some credit cards and loans. They've got quite a bit here. So they've got the auto loans, home equity, personal loans, recreational vehicle. They got a whole bunch of different things here. So pretty cool. But they're just a simple bank. Nothing too, special about them. They really value their members. And every rep that I've ever spoken with was super helpful, super kind. Really reminded me of Navy Federal. Same thing with them. Great customer service on the phones. So check out Patelco. I highly recommend them, especially if you are in the process of building your personal credit, because they are I would say like a grade B bank. Out here, they're more popular. I'm just not sure if they're going to be well known on the East Coast or in the Midwest or in the South or anything. But if you can get them, great. If not, you've got some other choices from our list of banks here. So let's move on. The next one that we want to talk about is Andrews Federal Credit Union. And I really like Andrews because of the fact that they have business and personal. So you can get some different, let's talk about. So they have consumer loans, home loans, business loans. They have your personal credit cards. They have your business credit cards. They even have prepaid credit cards. So for those people that watched my entire Navy Federal Masterclass, I talked about the prepaid card from Navy Federal. Same concept with this one. You can load the card and you can pull up to a certain amount off of it every single day. Cash, that is. So I really, really like Andrews. I highly recommend, if you are able to sign up for an account with them, please do so, because they have some really good personal credit cards. Let's go over some of their cards that I really like right now. Now, they have the Titanium Rewards Visa Signature card, and this one's great for like everyday spending. They have the Platinum card, and this earns rewards on your purchases. So right now they have a bonus where you can get 5,000 bonus points with your first purchase. And the Titanium, you can get 10,000 bonus points with the first purchase of 1,500 within a 90-day period. That's pretty good, right? And then you've got the Supreme Visa card. Most people like that just based on the name itself. They have low interest rates, and right now it's 0% for 6 months on purchases within 90 days of opening the account. So no, bonus for opening it, but 0% for 6 months. Hey, I'll take it, right? So the Titanium, that's going to be where you get your most points on gas and groceries, and then you get 1.5 points on everything else. And the platinum, you get 1 point. And then they even have the platinum secured card. And again, if you are rebuilding your credit, this is a great credit union to join to get the secure credit card, because it does graduate and you will get your deposit back. And then you can apply for some of their additional credit cards. I believe with Andrews, if I'm not mistaken, you can get up to 3 credit cards with them. Now, like I say, things are always changing. So that's why you want to build a relationship directly with the source so you can ask them. But last I checked, you can get up to 3 credit cards, and they actually are in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, which is like the DMV area, New Jersey, and some other places will be able to open cards with them. But you can call them and ask, hey, can this is my location. Am I able to open up an account with you? So thank you so much for joining part 1. Make sure to tune in to watch part 2, where we're going to dive in deeper to Andrews Federal Credit Union and go over all of the requirements that are going to be needed in order for you to join as a member. And I'm telling you, part 2, you want to watch the entire video, because at the end, I am showing you guys some major hacks on what you need to do, especially if you are a small business owner or planning to get business credit. But in the meantime, here's another tip for you guys, actually a super pro tip, iBankNet.com. And iBankNet.com is going to show you all of the top credit unions, especially in your area. Now, as you can see, I just pulled a simple report, and today is June 19th of 2023. So happy Juneteenth to everybody for 2023. I am so happy that we could have met virtually on YouTube, and I'm so glad that I am able to provide you with value. So here is a list, and this is literally like 100 credit unions that you can review and see if it's going to be a good fit for whether you want business credit or personal credit. Because at the end of the day, these funding companies that you see online, Fundbox, and all of these people that say, I can get you business funding, and I can get you this, and I can get you that. Just know there is a hefty fee associated with that. And I am teaching you guys how to fish. I am teaching you guys how to do it yourself so you can eat for a lifetime and you can start building generational wealth. And you don't have to cut anybody else a slice of your pie, because what funding companies do is they will go onto these banks' websites, or they have a bank relationship manager that they work with directly. And that's why I always tell you guys, build these relationships with these banking managers or these banking relationship managers at the bank. Go directly to the source and start just sitting down, bringing them lunch, checking in on them, emailing them, build a relationship, ask them to go to lunch, bring them coffee, butter them up. Okay, you get the drift. Find out when their birthday is. Send them birthday cards, send them holiday cards. They will get to know you. Okay. Build a relationship, an old school relationship. A lot of people these days, they don't know what building a relationship is. They think liking something on social media is support. It is not. Get into your pocketbook, buy them some lunch, buy them some coffee. Make sure that you are invested in this relationship, because they are the ones that have the insight for the bank. Now, of course, they're not going to overstep any boundaries, but sometimes you can read between the lines. No, our underwriting department is not having it, okay? Or yes, maybe if that number was a little bit higher, you would get more. You feel me? So read between the lines, build the relationships directly with the banking people, okay? I'm talking about when you go into the bank and you see those folks sitting at their desks asking people, can they help them? Those are the people that you want to deal with. You want to try to find the person that specializes in small business banking, that has been there for a while, that knows their stuff, that has sees the application go through their desk, sees what underwriting is, approving them, and finding out the details. And even if you're working with a credit coach like myself, we can all collaboratively work together so we can fit the criteria that they are looking for, okay? So that's why it is so important for you to build those relationships with the banks. Come out of the metaverse for a little bit, build those relationships. And here is a list of 100 credit unions that you can literally go to. And even if some of these credit unions are not in your area, the great thing about iBankNet and the bank branch locator website is you can find banks that are going to be in your area. And the great thing that I love about this is you're going to see banks that you've never even heard of, you've never seen before. Great, check them out. See what kind of banking products that they offer. See what they offer as far as no doc funding goes. Because if you are a small business, that's exactly what these lending companies, these predatory lending companies are preying on small businesses. And then as soon as they get you approved for a $20,000 credit card, guess what? They're taking anywhere from 10 to 20%. They're literally sending you an invoice that you have to pay with your credit card that you just got, and you have to pay that money back. So that can get very costly, especially if you get $100,000. You got to pay someone $10,000 to fill out a credit card application for you. That's obscene. Like, that's crazy to me. I can make a lot of money doing that. I know I can, right? But that's not my MO. I'm not into that. I don't agree with it. I think that it's just a step below a payday loan. It's a horrible way to start building a relationship with people. I believe in showing you how to fish so that way you can be successful long term, and you can apply these same principles and concepts to other corporations or LLCs. You can have multiple LLCs. You can personally guarantee multiple corporations to get business credit cards with different banks and financial institutions. So that's why this information is so powerful, because start building a relationship directly with the source. And you can find the banks that are in your area that are invested in their community, that want to give the funding, that have a budget prepared to give out to their community. You just want to make sure that, again, your business foundation is set up solid. And at the end of part 2, make sure to watch the entire video where we're going to be talking about some exceptional foundational hacks that you need to know if you are a business owner. So again, guys, make sure that you have subscribed to my channel, Credit Coach Nicole Scott. Follow me on Instagram at Credit Coach Nicole Scott. And if you are interested in, connecting more, you can visit the links below and purchase my business credit course. I also have my credit repair course, which teaches you how to repair credit and start a credit repair business. Our Turo course, how to start a rental car business. I'm all about building generational wealth and creating multiple streams of income. So that's what this is all about, guys. Getting your credit together, because it all starts with your personal credit, leveraging your credit to buy assets that can produce income for you, so you can literally make money while you sleep. Okay. So again, thank you so much for joining. You could have been anywhere today, but you chose to spend your time with me. All that I ask is that you take action. You hit that like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know if you have found value from this video. I appreciate you so much. Until next time, take care.